Blood banks, personal computers, or affordable shoes. From the traffic light to the ironing board, these innovative creations and many more wouldn't exist today if it weren't for the brilliant minds of these African American inventors. Thomas Jennings was the first African-American person to receive a patent in the United States, paving the way for future inventors of color to gain exclusive rights to their inventions. Born in 1791, Jennings lived and worked in New York City as a tailor and dry cleaner. He invented an early morning of dry cleaning and dry scoring and patented in 1821. People objected to an African American receiving a patent, but Jennings had a loophole. He was a free man. At the time, U.S. patent laws said the slave master is the owner of the fruit of labor of the slave, both manual and intellectual, meaning slaves could not legally own their own ideas or inventions. Several decades later, Congress extended patent rights to all African American individuals, both slaves and freedmen. Jennings eventually used the money from his inventions to free the rest of his family and donate to abolitionist causes. Born Sarah Breedlove in 1867, Madam C.J. Walker's is often referred to as America's first self-made female millionaire. Her early life was filled with hardships, and at the age of 20 years, she was both an orphan and a widow. Breedlove's fortunes changed after she moved to St. Louis, where her brothers worked as barbers. She suffered from hair loss and experimented with various products, including hair care recipe developed by an African-American businesswoman named Annie Malone. Breedlove became a sales representative for Malone and relocated to Denver, where she also married her husband, Charles Joseph Walker. Soon after, she began selling her own hair-growing formula developed specifically for African-American women. Breedlove renamed herself Madam C.J. Walker, heavily promoted the product, and established beauty schools, salons, and training facilities across America. She died a famous millionaire and is today considered to be one of the founders of African-American hair care and cosmetics industry. The ironing board is a product that is used possibly just as much as it is overlooked. In the late 19th century, it was improved upon by Sarah Boone, an African-American woman who was born a slave, one of the first Black American women in U.S. history to receive a patent. She expanded upon the original ironing board, which was essentially an horizontal wooden block originally patented in 1858. With Boone's 1892 additions, the board featured a narrower and a curved design, making it easier to iron garments, particularly women's clothing. Boone's design would morph into modern ironing board that we use today. With only an elementary school education, a Black inventor, and a son of a slave, Garrett Morgan held patent on two of today's most important devices, the gas mask and the traffic signal. His technical and problem-solving skills propelled him to success. At the beginning of his career as an entrepreneur and inventor, Morgan created the first chemical hair straightener product, ultimately launching his own business, G.A. Morgan Hair Refining Company. Along with that success, Morgan also started a sewing machine repair company and a newspaper, the Cleveland Call. However, it was until 1914 that Morgan's most established achievement came into play, patenting a breathing device, the first ever gas mask. 2 years later, Morgan and his brother donned the device after a natural gas explosion under Lake Erie and saved the lives of 2 workers. But Morgan wasn't finished saving lives. After witnessing a terrible car accident, the inventor decided that roads needed a device to determine when cars and pedestrians had the right of way. His solution was the traffic signal, which he patented in 1923. The use of elevators in everyday life keeps people from committing to long and grueling climbs up several flights of stairs. However, before the creation of elevator doors that close automatically, riding a lift was both complicated and risky. Before automatic doors, people had to manually shut both the shaft and elevator doors before riding. Forgetting to do so led to multiple accidents as people fell down elevator shafts. When the daughter of African-American inventor Alexander Miles almost fatally fell down the shaft, he took it upon himself to develop a solution. In 1897, he took out a patent for a mechanism that automatically opens and closes elevator shaft doors, and his designs are largely reflected in elevator use today. Businessman and inventor Alfred L. Crowell was born in 1866 in Virginia, shortly after the end of the American Civil War. Growing up, Crowell worked for his father in the carpentry trade, during which he became interested in mechanics. He was later sent to Washington, D.C. to study at the Wayland Seminary, a school for recently freed African Americans founded by American Baptist Home Mission Society. After a few years at school, Crowell moved to Pittsburgh, where he worked as a porter in a drugstore and a clerk in a hotel. While at the hotel, Crowell noticed ice cream servers had difficulty scooping ice cream. Influenced by this challenge, Crowell came up with the ice cream molder and disher, which was designed to keep ice cream and other food items from sticking. He patented his idea in 1897, and the invention spread like wildfire. Unfortunately, Crowell's name was rarely associated with the device, which began popping up across the United States. Crowell died from tuberculosis on May 6, 1919. He was 52. In 1891, anyone interested in mailing a letter would have to make the long trip to the post office. Philip Downing designed a metal box with 4 legs, which he patented in October 27, 1891. He called his device a street letterbox, and it is the predecessor of today's mailbox. It would protect mail from theft and poor weather conditions and expand the postal system, allowing people to mail letters without having to walk to the post office. Born in August 1946, Shirley Ann Jackson is a physicist, researcher, and inventor. She was the first African-American woman to earn a PhD from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. Curious as a child, Jackson grew up with an incredible interest in science and maths, conducting experiments with her father, and eventually graduating as a valedictorian from a 1964 class at Roosevelt High School in Washington, D.C. After graduating MIT with a PhD in theoretical solid-state physics, Jackson worked for AT&T Bell Laboratories. During a time at Bell, Jackson conducted breakthrough research that enabled the later inventions of the touch-tone phone, caller ID, and call waiting. In the 19th century, the average person couldn't afford shoes. This changed thanks to Jan S. Matzeliger and immigrants from Dutch Guyana, now Suriname. Matzeliger invented an automated machine that attached a shoe's upper part to its sole. Once it was refined, the device could make 700 pairs of shoes each day, a far cry from 50 per day than the average worker once sewed by hand. Matzeliger's creation led to a lower shoe prices, making them finally within financial reach for the average American. Charles Richard Drew was an American physician, surgeon, and researcher who was born in Washington, D.C. in 1904. On a sports scholarship, Drew attended Amherst College in 1922, later attending medical schools in Montreal and becoming the first African American to earn his doctorate in medical sciences at Columbia University. Early during World War II, Drew helped to develop improved techniques for blood storage, ultimately organizing the first large-scale blood bank in the U.S. for American Red Cross. Drew started what would be later known as blood mobiles, which were trucks containing refrigerators of stored blood. These allowed for greater mobility in terms of transportation, as well as prospective donations. But after a ruling that African American blood was to be segregated, Drew resigned from the organization. He passed away in 1950 after a car accident, leaving behind his wife, Minnie, and their 4 children. He was only 45. Inventor, entrepreneur, and winner of diverse awards, Frederick Jones is one of the most innovative inventors of his time. In the 1930s, Jones designed a portable air cooling unit for trucks to transport foods, which he patented in 1940. Today called Thermo King. By 1949, Thermo King was worth $3 million and played a huge part in the preserving blood, food, and medicine during World War II. From portable X-ray machines to engines, Jones ended up patenting more than 60 ideas before his death in 1961. After his father left, Latimer helped support his mother and family, lying about his age to enlist at 16 years old in the Navy during the American Civil War. After he was honorably discharged, Latimer worked as a draftsman at a patent firm where he not only learned mechanical drawing, but worked closely with Thomas Edison and Alexander Graham Bell. Latimer worked with Bell directly to help create the telephone, and he became an indispensable member of Edison's team in the creation of light bulb. Latimer came up with his own inventions such as an improved bathroom in railroad cars and an early air conditioning unit. A botanist, environmentalist, inventor, teacher, and celebrity, George Washington Carver is one of the most well-known African-American inventors of his time. Growing up, he often switched schools and lived with different foster families throughout the South, eventually earning his diploma at Minneapolis High School. Shortly after, he became a farmer until he went back to school. In 1891, Carver was the first black student at Iowa State Agricultural College, where he received both his bachelor's and master's degrees. He helped the poor agrarians by teaching them about fertilization and crop rotation, and since the region's primary crop was cotton, which drains nutrients from the soil, Carver conducted studies to determine which crops naturally thrived in the region. Carver also used peanuts to create more than 300 products ranging from laundry soaps to plastics and diesel fuel. Are there other African American inventions you know of? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, don't hesitate to like and share with your friends. You can also subscribe to our channel to receive the latest videos as they drop.